Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. This week's Parsha is out of Mikeitz. In Parshas Mikeitz, we have the incredible ascent of Yosef, going from a slave who was imprisoned, incarcerated in a dungeon for the rest of his life, to becoming the viceroy, the most powerful man other than Paro of the Egyptian empire in the world. And this took place because Yosef, after 12 years, Paro dreams, he needs someone to interpret his dreams. He is informed that Yosef has this skill to interpret dreams, as the butler remembers when Yosef did this for him 2 years earlier. Yosef is then brought to Paro. He is hurried there. He is shaven, he's given a change of clothing. Yosef doesn't know where, what, how, why, and yet he is taken now from the depths of despair in a dungeon, sentenced to life imprisonment. And now he's dressed in fine clothes, and he's brought into the very palace of the Pharaoh of all of Egypt. You can imagine how he comes in. And Yosef was 30 years old at this time. He was a young man. And he's brought, and here is the great Pharaoh sitting on his throne, unquestionably surrounded by officers and noblemen and individuals of great renown. And here is this young Hebrew, this Jew, this slave, this prisoner brought before Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh says, I've heard that you can interpret dreams. One would understand if Yosef would be a little bit intimidated, nervous, and yet Yosef responds and says, it is not through me, it is God who interprets the dreams. Perhaps he will send me the interpretation for you. And Paro then begins to express his dream unto Yosef, and Yosef listens with great composure. He's calm, he's at ease, he's relaxed. His mind is able to remove all distractions, and he hears every word that Paro relates to him. And Yosef is able to understand the meaning of the dream, every single part. The fact that Paro was standing on the Nile, the fact that the cows, 7 healthy cows, came up from the Nile, the fact that there were 7 emaciated cows that then devoured the healthy ones and showed no signs of incorporating within themselves any food or nutrition. And Yosef hears the second part of Paro's dream, 7 storks that come and 7 horrible storks that then devour them. And what does it mean? And with great composure, Yosef listens, and without any hesitation, he says to Paro, this is the meaning. He's not diplomatic. Yosef is not trying to be politically correct. He tells Paro exactly what the dream means, the message from God. How does a person, 30 years old, not to be overwhelmed? Can you imagine a young 30-year-old? They're going to bring him into the White House, and they're going to bring him into the presidential room, and they're going to bring him into the Congress with all these people and everything. You've got to be a little bit impressed. You've got to be somewhat nervous. We could certainly understand it. Not Yosef. Paro has the ability at any moment to say, put him to death. Yosef's life is in Paro's hands, and he speaks to Paro like a master would speak to his apprentice, like a teacher speaks to his student, his disciple. How did Yosef achieve this? After Yosef becomes viceroy, we have the 7 years of plenty, and Yosef instructs Paro that all of the extra food should be gathered. We shouldn't let people say, oh, we've got plenty of food this year, next year we'll take it easy. No, all the land should be worked. We should gather as much as possible, store it away, for the years of famine are coming. Indeed, the famine comes, and Yaakov sends his sons down to Egypt. Yosef, upon seeing his brothers, realizes this is the beginning of the fulfillment of the dreams that he had with and for his brothers. And Yosef understands that he has to masquerade as this viceroy in order to allow his brothers to ascend to the level of spiritual purity and excellence in which all elements of their sin of selling their brother would be removed. Yosef accuses them of being spies. We're not spies. Well, then why did you come in different gates in the city? We're all brothers of one father. We didn't want an ayin hara. We didn't want an evil eye, so we came through different entrances. But Yosef says, you went about, and I saw that you were mingling amongst people. Well, that's because one of our brothers was taken down to Egypt, or he's lost. We want to find him. Aha, so you're spying on my city, trying to find out where he is. Yosef then takes the brothers and he puts them in jail. And he tells them that he is not going to allow them to return until they bring their youngest brother back to be identified that he was not here with them gathering information on this reconnaissance mission, and he brought it back to whoever sent him. Bring that brother back here that you said you have a living brother now with your father. Bring him here. I want to see if he truly was, someone will recognize him. When the brothers hear this and they're taken into jail, they say one to the other, we are guilty. We're guilty now because of when our brother Yosef was crying out to us, when we threw him in the pit and we sold him because we believed that he was trying to ingratiate himself unto our father at our expense, that our father should reject us and maybe curse us and give all his glory to Yosef. And we felt that Yosef was deserving of this. And now we see that what we did was an act of cruelty. We didn't listen to our brother when he was crying out to us from his sorrows. And now God is repaying us that we're being falsely accused and incarcerated here. Yosef comes and he says, I will let you go back. One of you will stay. The rest of you go back and bring food for your families. They go, they're on the road, and one of them opens up one of his sacks to give some food for his animal. And lo and behold, there's silver there. The money that they used to purchase the food is in his sack. Now, what would we say if, let's say, we're going on a plane, TSA pulls out our bags, and they open up our bags or whatever, and we get our luggage, we land, we arrive at our destination, we open up a suitcase, and there's money in there. There's a couple of $1,000s in cash. What would we say? We'd say, wow, where did this come from? It's my lucky day. This is incredible. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who put it in there. I don't know who made the mistake. What, I'm going to go running back to an airport? I just made a few $1,000s. I got a gift. What did the brothers say when they recognized that their money had been returned to them? What did they say? What did they do? Did they say, hey, we brought all this money, we bought the food, and look, it's been returned? The brothers said, Vayecherdu, they trembled. What has God done to us? Surely someone is going to accuse us of theft. What did God do to us because of our sin? We see from these brothers, the holy sacred brothers of Yosef, that this incident took place 20 years after Yosef was sold. And now something incredible is happening in which they could have said, Who is this wicked, cruel person that he accuses innocent people of being spies and he throws us in jail? Our family won't have food? What kind of a beast is this? That's not what they said. But we are guilty. Our guilt is now being exposed by God. The guilt, what are we guilty for in 20 years? Nothing. There's only one thing that could warrant such an action, behavior taken towards us like this. We didn't listen to the cries of our brother. We did not demonstrate appropriate compassion. That's the only sin that they had. And they were so righteous, Rabbeinu Yerucham points out, that this mistake, this potential mistake, it was with them their whole lives. And that anything and everything that happened was not by happenstance or just a way of life, but the brothers are showing us everything that transpires is part of God's plan. We're being thrown in jail and accused falsely. Obviously, it's our guilt. It's all part of God's plan. Then when we are released and we're going back and we find that our money's been returned, it's not a gift. What is God doing to us? Everything that transpired, the brothers saw the hand of God manipulating events and circumstances, all part of the divine plan. This was the perspective of the righteous, holy brothers of the sons of Yaakov, of the Klal Yisrael. This is who they were, and this is who Yosef was. Yosef, envied by his brothers. Yosef, sold by his brothers. Yosef, taken as a slave, this righteous, pure, holy Yosef, taken as a slave in Egypt, the most depraved of all countries and lands. Yosef accused of falsely attacking his master's wife. Yosef incarcerated in a dungeon for a life sentence. And Yosef was never disturbed. His perspective remained true. This is all God's plan. God sent me dreams years ago. This is part of the fulfillment of those dreams. This is the means by which I shall fulfill my mission for which God has chosen me. And therefore, when Yosef is suddenly taken to the palace of the Pharaoh, the most powerful, awesome figure in the world, Yosef is calm. Yosef is not overwhelmed. Yosef is composed, because as far as Yosef is concerned, this is all part of the divine plan. This is all part of God's bringing about the fulfillment of my mission and dreams. What the Torah is showing us is not just the excellence, the magnificence of Yosef and his brothers of Klal Yisrael, but the perspective for each and every one of us, especially in these most trying times when we see things happening about Jews and Israel and we don't understand. It's all part of a divine plan. It's all a means for us to achieve our mission for that which we have been chosen. That is the Jewish perspective. And may we never lose sight. No matter what happens, we should not become unnerved, not become distressed. We should remain calm and composed and know that there is a plan and there is someone in charge. And all the events that unfold are enabling us to fulfill that mission. To have that perspective is vital to enabling us to truly fulfill our mission and see revelation of Mashiach speedily in our lifetime. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay Jewish. Have a wonderful Shabbos.